right now. Daniel Hibberd, never.
Hello, Paul.
Never ever trust technology. Welcome, mate.
No. Yeah, good to be back. Just a few gremlins in the system there, but hopefully we've got it all sorted out now.
Yeah, I definitely hope so too. I apologise to everyone that might have been tuned in right on 7 o'clock. We're only 7 minutes late getting going, but that's okay. The stream is up and going. And yeah, just technology. They just keep changing things. I don't know if it's not broken, why they have to try and fix it.
No, it's just happens, unfortunately, and onto a good thing, and then it gets taken out from under your feet. So yeah, but anyway, we're away now.
Yeah, for those who may not be aware, I used a couple of different platforms to I suppose capture the boys in when they go, and hence the reason it's predominantly been myself and Daniel because it just gets a little bit convoluted here at home, but something's gone awry somewhere. I did 2 different platforms to have a hookup with Daniel, and they didn't work, so we had to go to plan B or C or D, whichever one you want to call it, and we're going from there. We're live. We don't care. We're here to talk. We encourage people to get involved. That's the whole idea of what I do, the platforms that I like to do. Myself and Daniel, Troy Harley, we've got a few little ideas going a bit further forward with some different shows that we're probably going to do through GRV, bit of HRV as well, maybe a tipping show and that, going to YouTube. And if you know anyone that's on Facebook and not on Facebook, and they like talking rubbish, as myself and Daniel are very good at doing, tell them that there is the YouTube channel there. It's just Campbell's Comments. Hit subscribe and away you go. So it's very, very easy to get involved and get involved in the show. So how's your week been, mate?
Quite a week with work, but it was a very good Friday night last week.
What happened Friday night?
Just a game of footy over in Perth. Nothing too exciting, but I reckon I got back from. I had to call Bendigo Dogs, and I reckon I got back in pretty good time. I certainly didn't speed, but I got back home in plenty of time to watch the game Friday night, and yeah, it was pretty relaxed night's entertainment after half time. It was really good.
You might say it was relaxed. I was listening to one of the poor old Cats players today, and he reckons it was the longest quarter and a half. He said he came out at a half time and they got the ball out of the centre and they kicked it up. He goes, here we go, we're on. And there was a Melbourne intercept. Away they went. That was it. She was all over.
It was probably the most purest game of football Melbourne's ever played. And I've followed them all my life. And, to be fair, we've been shit. We've been pretty ordinary. But it was just unbelievable what happened. And but at the end of the game, I had Suzanne here. She was all ready to, video me jumping around and carrying on like a pork chop. And I just sat on the couch and pretty much cried. I just couldn't believe what the performance they'd put in. I was thinking about it after the fact. Like, every other Victorian club, apart from obviously St Kilda hasn't won a premiership, and neither has Melbourne, but every other Victorian club has at least done something in the last 25, 30 years, except for Melbourne. They made one grand final in 2000, which they were never going to win, and I knew that we were never going to win, and they got flogged, in 88, but I can't really remember that one. So all my life, all I've known is a team that's been at the bottom of the ladder or been middle of the road and never won it. So I don't know how to act, and Lord knows what's going to happen if they happen to pull it off next week. But it's a good feeling when your footy team goes well.
It is indeed. I've got a mad Kiwi that's joined us. They won't understand Aussie rules football, that's for sure. And if he saw my legs, he'd be well and truly aware that stilettos, and when you got tree trunks of thighs like mine, Nigel, stilettos are not on the radar. But welcome, mate. I well and truly encourage everyone to get involved. If the Kiwis can get involved, everyone can as well. You got to feel a bit for the Kiwis. I noticed I follow a couple of his platforms on Facebook, and they've been pumping out a lot of stuff purely because their lack of content over there with COVID. It's thrown a curveball to us here again in Victoria just today with Ballarat, the city of Greater Ballarat, won't get Bendigo in trouble just yet, have gone into lockdown, which effectively nothing really changes dramatically. It just means that the people in Ballarat don't have the same liberties as what we have here in Bendigo. No different to you though in Shep. A lot of the shops are still shut over there in Shepparton, aren't they?
Well, we come out of it tonight. We come out of lockdown at midnight. So we've done all the hard yards over the last 3 or 4 weeks, I guess it's been. So there's been no new cases here in Shep for the last sort of 3 or 4 days, and the numbers are gradually coming down. A lot of the 13-day test people that were as a result of the first wave of people having to lock down, those that were positive after 13 days have just about gone through another 13 days. So effectively, they've done the quarantine, and the numbers, hopefully in the next 2 days, will go back down to sort of no active cases, I guess you could say, and we'll be back to some sort of normality. But yeah, we are looking forward to coming out of the lockdown period at midnight tonight, and makes it a hell of a lot easier. It doesn't really make it easy for me because I've got to call Bendigo Dogs Friday into Ballarat Greyhounds Saturday morning, and all my plans have just gone up in smoke. So I've got to work out logistically what I'm going to do Saturday morning. But yeah, it's not good. Obviously, they're doing the right thing. Obviously, Ballarat and locking it down now because Shep went through the same sort of thing and they were able to get on top of it pretty quickly. So hopefully that's what happens in Ballarat, and they don't have to stay locked down for as long. But the way it is at the moment, it's the best effective way of making sure it doesn't spread, particularly through country Victoria.
The as I said, we've got a lot of Kiwis and the like over here. Some people, and there'd be probably a lot of trotting people, aren't aware how early the greyhounds start. People will be thinking, oh, what's he want to have a sleep over there for? What is it, 9 o'clock?
Yeah, 9 o'clock the first. All these races get beamed into the US. So GRV got a fairly good deal with over in the States. So that's where the product, mainly the reason for the product going here, is over to the States. So there's obviously local betting on it as well, but the pools are certainly nowhere near as lucrative as what you'd have on a Saturday afternoon or a Friday night. Saturday night or a Friday night. But they're sort of beaming into the US, so they get to hear my dulcet tones at probably 7 or 8 o'clock at night over there, and I annoy the hell out of the Australians at 9 o'clock in the morning over here.
You'll get a few tuning in. I do a lot of work with the greyhounds as well as you do. I went to Healesville Sunday and got to live stream their cup. Second time I've been to Healesville, and we had a bit of fun. We actually tuned in live to SEN, and SEN tuned in live to our coverage. So we had a little bit of fun. Great crowd, but it was interesting because the Healesville Cup was run just prior to 1 o'clock, I think. No, we were finished by 1 o'clock. I think it was just on 12 o'clock, the Healesville Cup, which was the main race because of the way it crosses over with America. So, yeah. Have you called it Healesville before?
No, I haven't. No, I haven't ventured that far down. That's Mr. Vandermat's territory, and I don't want to encroach on his patch just yet. I'm just haven't made the trek down there just yet.
He's a great man, James Vandermeer. I will say that. I have a lot of fun with him. It's I don't know how long it is. I think it's 400 metres. I actually got some beautiful footage. I should have had it ready, but I won't muck around with it now that we're up and streaming. But just a actual really, really pretty track. You know what? I'm actually going to try and get it while you continue to talk. So don't stress that way. I'll find it because I actually did a little video up of it, so I think I should be able to find it. Nothing will come up. How's the rest of your week been, Daniel? We've got a couple of topics we will get onto, and we encourage other people to get there. Me mate, don't worry about that. One of the best photographers in the business. He's joined in 350 metres. Mr. Clint Anderson, thank you very much. Now, if I can find this video, Clint will be more than happy because there is some drone footage in it as well that he produced. So myself and he, basically we bought this, actually it's that one there. I'm still trying to find it, so I apologise. It shouldn't, here it is there, right there, that's the one I want. You shouldn't talk and all the rest. This may just come up over the top. Here it is, right now. I just want to kill the audio on it so people don't have to worry about the audio. But that's Clint's video footage. So that's actually the Healesville track. Just there, that's club rooms and that to your right, and this is it. Dead straight. It's incredibly unique. Daniel's waiting on the delay to come across so he can see it in the footage. But it is brilliant. Yeah, and Clint was able. He flew over very, very quickly for me and got that footage. And then the next part here, the boys at the track were kind enough to run me up the straight. And yeah, it is a very, very unique track with a lot of character. And I get out of covert. Go to Yarra Valley for a weekend. Make sure you duck out to Healesville Greyhounds on a Sunday morning, even if it's take the picnic rug. It is beautiful, really, really pretty place.
And it's good racing as well for the greyhounds. It's I guess it's the purest form of greyhound racing where they're running dead straight, and if the dogs are smart enough to just keep that straight line. It's usually the fastest dog that wins. It's a little bit different on the bends and that sort of thing, but. Yeah, it is. It's tricky watching it on TV a lot of the time because you don't quite know where your dogs are in relation to the lead. Sometimes you might think you're actually in front, but in actual fact you might be actually a length or two behind. But it is a pretty place, and you're looking forward to getting down there one day to watch some of the racing at Healesville.
It's actually quite a funny thing. A bloke called Whippet Morrison has joined the feed. Now, we'd start talking greyhounds and you get a guy Whippet come up. Bendigo the other night, mate. Mark Lee's joined us. Philip Wood's watching. We got quite a lot. Alexander Curls, Hurley is in there. Peter Ward quite often. Joey Adard, Emmy Mazzetti. He's a regular. Terry Brown from South Australia. We've got plenty of people watching. And of course, my friend from New Zealand, Nigel Armstrong. We'll have to get Nigel. Might have to get Nigel on with you one day. We'll organise it a bit better and go from there. But got to be good for the health of the hounds. Absolutely, yeah, the health of the hounds. No corners. Yeah, it is, Nige. There's a couple. I think there's a J track starting up very shortly, and another horseshoe track. So, yeah. So there's a few things on the go. So yeah, they're very progressive with what they do. Rightio. Big race meeting at Bendigo. Some really, really good scenes. We might touch on Triple Eight first, who is actually by American Ideal. Funnily enough, I know I might have been there today. I'll touch on that in a minute. But what a brilliant win! It's been well documented afterwards about the emotion and everything behind it. But it was a great race and just a cracking win by the son of American Ideal.
Yeah, it was a brilliant race, and I mean, you can, as we said, it's probably said on the show previously. You can do all the speed maps you like and all the game plans and all that sort of thing, but sometimes it just doesn't work out the way you think it's going to work out, and the way a race is run. And this was a cracking race. I mean, I've been trying to think of a horse that's faster out of the gate ever than what I've seen General Dodge, and there's not many horses like Max Delight. We know can get out of the gate like a shot, but this was just like it. He let him down, like he held him together, I reckon, for probably the first 10 or 15 metres out of the gate. And there was just like one flick of the wrist and he was just into another gear, and it was incredible how far, and like then to take cover, it sort of made the race a bit more interesting once that happened with Max Delight behind the leader and Western Sonatol through the pegs. But Triple Eight, like Greg just drove it a treat, just, saved as much as he could for the finish, and they've gone 151.7. Like we know what Ride High did in a smaller field race over that sprint trip, but for him to run over the top, and they've gone 27.3, 27.5. He's come from sort of off the speed. He's always been a really good horse. He's probably been favourite in a couple of races where it would appear that he's disappointed on face value, but he was back to some of his brilliant form. And I mean, if you stuck fat with him, you got $12 on the tote. So he's probably paid as good a price as he's ever going to pay. And it was a top race. General Dodge was super in defeat. Waited for that sprint lane run and got it. Out to play was enormous from where it was in the run. And Max Delight, I still thought was good. In fact, I thought the whole field were really going to, it's one of those races you've got to sit back and probably watch it 10 times to watch every individual horse and to see where they actually finished in the run, and what sort of trip they had, and did they get held up or anything like that. And probably the other one there I missed is Perfect Stride, who was flying up on the pegs at the finish. Look, it was a cracking race, and I think as we always know, barrier draws play a big part in it, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's just the luck in running that you get. and Triple Eight made it full advantage and was a brilliant drive.
Absolutely. Desiree Keating has actually said he will keep on, just this will probably be the last one of the dogs, but her gap dog was a whopper, raced at 41 kilos, which is huge for a greyhound, and love the straight track, obviously not having to turn and go from there, turn the corner. It'd be interesting if Nigel's still there and what he thought of his win. There's a lot of talk, one of his best wins and all the rest. This horse contested the Inter-Dominion in New Zealand, which would be 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. I mean, he was a quality horse in New Zealand and proven group horse. And I think people sort of forgot that. There's a lot of up-and-comers. There's a lot of almost theirs. A lot of question marks. Wolf Stride, what do you make of his run?
Yeah, I'd have to go back and watch it in a bit more detail. I sort of haven't had the opportunity to do that. I mean, on face value, he probably was a bit disappointing. But I'm sure Andy and Tate will sort of work things out. And, I wouldn't be jumping off him yet. I'd just sort of see what happens at his next start before you sort of make any opinions on him. He's too good a horse to sort of knock on one run.
Yeah, definitely. It was good racing, though. I thought he's just got to lift a little bit, but yeah, and you're right about Perfect Stride. He was the eye catcher. I'll put my New Zealand hat back on. I don't know where it's down there somewhere, but the Southern breeders, Katie Price and those people, they bred him, and I think they'd be very, very happy. He's a little bit of a sleeper, of course, the Cobram Cup winner, amongst other races, but he's a bit of a sleeper this year, I reckon. He's always people have forgotten about, and I think fast class racing nowadays is near on impossible to make ground out the back. Better's Delights, and again, put my Woodlands hat on, but I'm not being silly. The Better's Delights horses can nearly buck that trend a little bit. They're horses that, if the tempo's right over the years, they're proven that they can get home. And he's one of those horses that may not have to do work. A lot of these other horses are going to have to do work to get into their spots. He's one that if he posies up in the right spot, that sprint of his is going to be very dangerous in some of these feature big races. Yeah,
no, that's exactly right. I mean, we saw that at the back end of with Cobram Cup at the start of the season, and his performances there, he's a good horse. He's a real good horse.
Absolutely, Daniel. Nigel just put a message in, but I'll get back to Nigel in 1 second. The Charlton Harness Racing Club, as we say, we've got to keep looking after these clubs, and we'll look after Swan Hill and that because they've fed me some information, and that's basically how this works. I get a tip, all the rest. The Wednesday wager for the Charlton Knights, and Nigel tells us off if we give him these a little bit late, but we're going with race 4, number 2, Heavenly Brigade. They invest $25, so they get $12.50 each way is what they've gone with this horse. What's it paying?
I'm just bringing that up on the screen. I knew you were going to ask that, so I...
You should have been. I
should have been prepared, but you got me just a fraction too quickly. Let's have a look here. Where are we? There we go. We got about 7 minutes. 7 minutes to the jump. It's currently paying $5 on the fixed odds. It's $5.30 on the tote. $5.30 and $2.20. So if it runs a place, they should double their money.
Okay, right. You keep an eye on that because it's not far off. 5 minutes to go before that one. I believe Nigel doesn't watch our racing. We're going to have to shame him into it. And Andrea just timed in. We need a winner. You definitely do, Andrea, but that's okay. We'll get it out there, and good luck to the Charlton Harness Racing Club. Andrea will get back to me on when they race against next, that's for sure. But you're not going to believe this. I've got the biggest cramp in my leg. It's not professional to drop down.
You're doing too much walking. It's that walking that's...
It's not the walking, it's the running. We'll get onto that in a second. I'll get people to get involved.
Running? Oh, geez.
But
no wonder.
Yeah, it's just gone. It's not pleasant, I can tell you that now. But I'll take a bit of Codral. I'll soldier on. Don't you worry about that. But no, Nigel, you will have to start watching our racing and getting involved, especially when these New Zealanders are doing what they're doing. They are winning everywhere, which is not uncommon for us this time of year. That's generally what happens, isn't it? So they generally come to the fore. Trotters Cup. Now, Daniel, I will let you go off the long run here for this one, if you like. I reckon it was a brilliant race. I don't worry about those things at the start too much. They don't worry me in any way, but I think it's part and parcel. I do believe we've got to get a little bit refined, but I still think the mystique of the standing starts must stay.
Yeah, I want the standing starts to stay. But what I want to see is that some uniformity in the method that we start these races, and I was just seeing, particularly in the good races. I mean, we gave the the run of the mill races during the week with the trotters, and it doesn't seem to be so much of a hassle with those. But we get to these good races, and it's all about position in the trots, and we know that, and it's you want to get away to a good start, but just the method that we've got with the stands at the moment, I thought it was highlighted more so on Saturday night with the trot race. I know that there was a lot off the front handicap, so you had 2 rows there, and then you had Majestuoso and Red Hot Tooth were off the 10 metres. But when you get Majestuoso, and this is nothing against the horse, nothing against Caterani or anything like that, but just the fact that the horse was able to swing around and basically was running at the start when the starter said go. It had taken 3 strides and was already in its gate and away. It just irks me a little bit, and I just want to see some sort of uniformity in the method that the races have started. I know it's difficult because the horses these days are a lot different to probably what we had 20, 25 years ago, where they were probably a bit more, well, not high strung, but not as flighty, I guess, and trying to get them to stand and so forth. But we just need to get some sort of uniformity across the board with stands. Whether we make it that they have to stand, whether we make it that it's a walk-up start, they've got to hold their line, and then they let them go or something like that. It just seems to me at the moment that when they line up, it's basically the last one that swings around gets the advantage because they're still sort of moving when the starter says go. And I just think we just need to work something out so that the method is that it's fair for everyone. I think we need to really try and work on that at the trials, and it's difficult. I know it's difficult at the trials because we don't get the nominations at the trials where you can run a full field of in a standing start at the trials. You only get 4 or 5 noms, and they basically just walk up behind the tape and they let them go. You get a race like that on a Saturday night when you've got 13 horses and you've got 11 off the front mark, and you've got to sort them all out. It's a little bit different. We just need to work something out because I don't want to. We need to have them. I'd love to see them back in the paces because of it just brings another element to the race. But for me, last Saturday nights wasn't what I wanted to see, and full marks for Kate for getting the horse away like she did. But I just think it's not how the standing start should be.
I have one theory. One thing. No, I have one thing to say to you. Was it worse to watch because it was over the long at Bendigo and you're able to see them as compared to majority of our races here in Victoria, especially standing starts? And I think this is one of the other problems that it creates for people is they're over the 2100, which is they're head on. And I think you see things from different angles. So Brittany Graham chimed in with a Twitter mark saying, where was the tape? And more or less was, I'm not going to have a crack at Britt, but I think she was of the opinion they forgot to pull the tape across the way it was inferred. Once she found out, she goes, well, that makes common sense. So so people that aren't aware, we don't have a 10-metre tape. We don't have a handicap tape if there's 2 rows. So it doesn't have to be a 10-metre tape. It could be if there's a full front line and some off 10, there'll be no 20-metre tape and so forth is how it goes. So that showed it up. But the fact that it was on the side, so people were then able to see how fast Majestuoso was actually going. If it was head on, you might not have seen it. Then that being the case, especially for these good, like that's a Group 1 race, do we need 2 starters? Do we need someone side on to say, no, he blows a false start whistle or says to the starter, don't let him go? Because they could see that happening because there is too much going on. And as much as we've got to educate the horses and the drivers, you've got to feel for these starters. They might not have had a standing start, like especially one over that distance, of that quality for 12 months. In fact, they might not have done one for 2 years. So a lot of our trot races have 10 and 11 horse fields. Then all of a sudden they've got a full field of horses all off the front, and they're trying to watch everything and they miss Majestuoso. So I think there's probably a few ways they've got to look at it, and sometimes I think we simplify it because we see it side on. Nigel's chimed in there. It's lack of consistency. It was highlighted as well in the New Zealand Cup over there just recently, a couple of years ago, when Mark Purdon got a fly on it and the likes. Peter Lamb, I think he was actually here now. Stacey Towers has chimed in. I tell you what, talk about getting people going. We start talking standing starts. We're going to be going all night. But the same thing, if someone on the side is able to blow a horn or say to him, "Don't let him go," that's the way. The starter has a final say, but just someone that might be able to just stand back, in the middle of the track and just go no at the right time, so they can actually see that.
And maybe we've gone from using the mechanical standing starts to being handheld, and I think they had looked at reinstating that at Melton at one point too, where they were using the electronic the mechanism to hold the tapes. You do have to feel for the starters, because what you've said is exactly right. There's not enough of it to for them to consistently get good at starting the races in the right way. But you're right, there probably does need to be some more assistance from an assistant starter or whatever the case may be, whether they're on the infield, particularly when there's a big field. You're probably not going to need it when you've only got 8 horses or something like that in a race. It's probably a lot easier for the starter to keep an eye on things. But when you get a Group 1 race, standing start, you want to make sure that it's fair for everyone. And I think we've just got to work on a method that everyone can use and everyone can train their horses to a method, so that they can do it at home and do it at the trials and everything like that. Because at the moment, that one just sort of highlighted that it was just, it sort of highlighted what you said. It highlighted that we don't do it enough, and when we do run these big races, it gets exposed, and we really need to work on it, particularly if we've got some big races towards the back end of the year that are standing starts. I'm not sure what's in the calendar, but if there's some handicap trot races at Melton over the long trip, you want to make sure that everyone's getting a fair start.
We've got some great trotting people. Mickey Blackmore, he's tuned in. Alex Hurley, Amy Mazzetti, they're also there. Mark Lee's watching, and Stacey Towers. It was practically a run-up start. These are fast-class horses that should be standing, and if they can't stand, they shouldn't be in it. I think sometimes we look at things a bit simplistically too, and we don't look at it simplistically. Stacey says there is quite true. If they can't stand, don't leave them in it. Did you watch the Olympics? The guys are lining up. They've trained for 4 years. They were lining up for the 100-metre sprint, and the guy broke, and he's out. That's it.
He's out.
He has gone 4 years. And I can guarantee you, if Majestuoso was scratched because it wouldn't stand up, there'd be this outcry, oh, the punters, they've done their money cold and all the rest. Go and watch the Olympics. Maybe we just have to get harder. Maybe we have to...
I'm pretty sure it's the same in the swimming too. If you break,
you're
gone too. Like they made the rule a blanket rule, and I mean it still happens. And obviously nerves and that get in, and they jump around and so forth. And but you don't see the false starts that you used to see years and years ago.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think if one rule, that's it. If they're out, and go from there, and if people accept it, I'm sure people will be able to then turn around and start educating their horses a little bit better. And she's spot on there, and that's something that I'll actually get onto with our guests. Horses that actually stand lose their advantage over the ones that don't stand as well, because they are flat-footed. Mari Law actually was standing, very close to standing anyway. So he did a terrific job. And you also wonder, like a horse like Covered in Darkness that has a reputation of being a bit of a hothead, whether that puts a starter on edge a little bit too. Like they're saying, how are we going to get all these horses to step? Maybe it's back to the Olympic standards. Well, if it don't stand, it's out the door. And and go from there. I'm sure Clayton Tompkins, a great horseman, he'll either teach him to be a standing start horse, or he'll just say, rightio, he's out of the stands. Yeah, that's right. So that's the way it went. How did our horse go at Terang before we go any further? Well,
I just had the vision up, and I know it was number 2, and I didn't see a number 2 cross the line, so I'm a little bit concerned. It hasn't been scratched. I didn't have the audio going for obvious reasons, but Mick Stanley's won the race, and so there's some more money kicking into the
more pressure on the runner too. I could see. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute, though.
But yeah, I didn't see it in the run, so I apologise. I'm not sure where it finished up, but just on that Trotters Championship there at Bendigo, apart from the start, it was a hell of a race. Majestuoso looked like it was going to win by about a length halfway up the straight, but just obviously the sprint just went out of it. I think Kate probably waited as long as she possibly could. She couldn't have really waited any longer than she did to get going. She'd driven it a treat up until that point in time. And then Anthony Buck got the sprint lane and charged through, and Mary Law nailed I'm Already Jet, who'd been a really tough run as well, and got the cash for Fred Cruz. It was a really good performance, and it was a good race. I mean, they were pretty steady fractions the most of the way, and got the job done up on the inside, and well-deserved victory for that horse. It's a really, really nice horse, and it'll be competitive in all the good races going forward.
It is, and I wear quite a few hats. That one's in the car. I don't know where it is. I don't know where half my hats are these days. I'm Ready Jet, Harasta Trotters. They'd have to be so excited about how she's actually performing right at the minute, because I think she was probably a little bit moderate the week before, but geez, she was back to her best the other night, going around sitting in the death. And they had every right to drop her off, like as you said, Majestuoso went past her. But when it was the whips really started to crack, it was just the horse up the inside. We got the Kiwis on. Don't give up your day job, or maybe you should. Broke start. I'm not sure what you've done there, Nigel. Don't give up your day job. Maybe you should. I'm not sure if he's having a crack at me about.
Don't know what he's on about there. He might have to clarify for us.
He might be his Kiwi accent. I've got to go back to another one of his comments in the feed in the sec. But the Kiwis, they shone through again in that race as well, with Emmett Bronson and his father. And Emmett was very, very emotional afterwards, and actually Anthony Butt driving the horse as well. It was a full-on Kiwi thing. But they've done a great job with this trotter, because he promised the world 3 years ago. And they've got him back to some really, really good form now. And he's incredibly well bred, out of a Mare Sundowner. Just does a great job. So very very happy with him. They'd have to be very happy with him. And there was a good talk. Oh, bad tip, and we didn't tip it. He's having a crack at us for the tips. We didn't tip it. It's a Charlton thing, Nige. It's a Charlton thing.
We'll have to find him a winner in the next race to try and make up for it. Then I don't know.
Yeah, but you got to.
That might be a bit hard, because Karen and Grant have got $1.15 favourite, so we might be struggling to.
And guess where it's from?
Yeah, exactly.
New Zealand. What's its name? I forgot its name.
The Kingsman.
Yeah, that's right. Good movie. So yeah. Another sad tale. Andrea, what happened? We don't think it crossed the line, so if you could just give me a little text as to what may have happened, that'll be fine. So
I think that was Nigel's going on about. It must have broke at the start, so yeah, that's probably what he's on about.
Broke at the start. Now it's all starting to fit.
Yeah, it's starting to make sense now.
Yeah, Nige doesn't know that I don't have the footage up there.
We didn't have it going, yeah.
I'll get back to Nigel's one at the end of it. Don't worry, Nigel, I haven't forgotten you there at all. She's put in another sad tale. The rest of the Bendigo card, was there any eye catches out of that for you, mate?
Yeah, the 3-year-old race was a really good one. Bondi Lockdown and
didn't see that one yet.
I mean, we probably didn't learn much out of it other than what we already knew with both those horses. They're both top quality horses. Major Moth was huge, really coming off the speed when they'd gone not all that quickly up front. Was able to get to within sort of 5 metres of the winner. I thought Boyo's horse Night School's going along nicely. I mean, he's certainly not in the creme de la creme, but the connections are going to have a lot of fun with him. He's going to win all his fair share of races. And Aladdin was probably disappointing on face value, not at least run third. I couldn't have seen it winning the race. I was sort of thinking that it could potentially run second, but it was probably a little bit disappointing on face value. So not sure what to make of its performance. It's a bit hard to sort of gauge at the moment. Other than that, I don't think there was too much. Max Acker in the first was a really good run for Aaron, getting the double there. So he's flying along there with the two horses going very well. But that was a really tough performance. He was really able to work to the lead and was too good in a pretty slick fire rate. But it was a good card there at Bendigo, and a really strong night, particularly with those Group 1 races. And yes, certainly the strongest meeting that Bendigo would have had apart from their cup meeting program, and Breeders' Crown back in the day that they've had there for a long time.
Yeah, definitely. It was great to see. Pity no crowds, but that's okay. Mate, I was out and about. I've got to do some stay intended promos. What I'm going to do is actually throw to a little catch-up I had with Mark Hughes today. I was out and about at Lower Long Farms doing some stuff going forward, and I'm going to throw to that. We'll be back straight after. It's only a very quick interview, so we'll be back in about 1 minute. Right, we are out and about today doing a behind-the-scenes thing. Mark Hughes, welcome to the sunshine, mate.
Yeah, beautiful day, Paul, in the Goulburn Valley. Spectacular spring day, mate. Outstanding.
It is indeed. We've got Speeding Spur behind us. We've been doing a little bit of a behind-the-scenes thing here for Lower Long Farms, which is really exciting. But Speeding Spur's been offered up from the Horsham Trotting Club as a stay-in tender, which closes this Friday. We want to make sure people are aware of it. It's a great initiative from Horsham. You guys have had a great association with them for many, many years.
Yeah, look, we've had a relationship with Horsham, with Tony Logan and the boys over the last 5 or 6 seasons, firstly via his father, Pegasus Spur, and now via Speeding Spur with the stay-in tender. We did one last year. We're backing up the truck again with the guys this year. They do a great job, that club.
We want people to get involved, so go to the Horsham website, their Facebook page, or just get in touch with the club. I'll actually throw those banners down underneath because I don't have them in front of me right now, but just a great way to get a cheaper service fee. Anyone after a service fee to Speeding Spur, contact Lower Long Farms or Woodland Stud, either way, both in Australia and New Zealand. Yep. Make sure he's aware, and doesn't he look sensational? He looks brilliant in the videos.
Yeah, look, he looks sensational. He's settled in a treat here. 1.3 million on his card, 9 Group 1s, just a stunning individual and highly fertile as well. And just noticed a brand new foal of his born today in Australia. So, look, he's on the way.
Knows the camera's on him too. What a pretty boy. Horsham Harness Racing Club, don't forget their stay-in tender closes this Friday. Get involved. Get in touch with Tony Logan if you can't do it any other way. Any of the guys there, I'm sure Aaron Dunn, Justin Lane, any of those guys will take your phone calls and steer you in the right direction. That's for Speeding Spur. Get involved. Now, mate. Right, we are back. Welcome back. Good little promo there from Mark Hughes, and I will say stay tuned for some good little video stuff we were doing today at Lower Long Farms. Kath McIntosh, who stands on behalf of Woodland Stud. They stand, American Ideal, whose book is full, and also Lather Up. You get into trouble if you can't remember the names of the stallions. That's it. You're gone. You don't get any sponsorship at all. So I was there today, but got some good little stallions, and that closes. So that Horsham one closes now. I'm not sure if it's Thursday or Friday because Mark Hughes said to me the 16th. Now, the 16th is actually Thursday, so I've just got to be careful as to what day that closes. But get in touch with the Horsham Harness Racing Club or their Facebook page if you know anyone. Aaron Dunn, we mentioned him before. They'll steer you in the right direction. Tony Norris, get in touch with him, and he will look after you there for that one. Now, we've got the bought one closed yesterday, so John Campbell's, it actually closed off yesterday, so that one's done. The Bought Harness Racing Club with John Campbell, they'll be in touch with anyone that has won those. We will start off with this one here. This is the Terang Harness Racing Club. Now, this one here, they reached out to me, but any club that wants to reach out to me and promote their stuff, please just give me a little bit more information. I ran out of time last week to get in touch with this one. It finishes tomorrow at 10 p.m. So tomorrow night, this is when this one closes. I'll try and do something tomorrow afternoon with someone there. Got a huge list of horses there with a lot of the studs. We've got Changeover from Burwood Stud, Elite Stride from Alabar, Follow the Stars from Medowie Lodge, For a Reason for Cobbity Farms, He's Watching Tipperary Farms, Jillaby Kung Fu from Cobbity Farms, Lochinvar Art from Cobbity Farms. Cobbity Farms have looked after him very well, which is terrific. Melmara from Northern Rivers, which is actually Lower Long Farms. Got to make sure you get the sponsors' names right as well. Muscle 'em Up from Trump Bloodstock, Peak from Mountain View, Ride High from Alabar, Sky Valley from Aldebaran Park, Speeding Spur from Woodlands, just heard from him, and Young Yankee Rockstar as well. or from Good Time Lodge, which is one of their great supporters at the Terang Harness Club, one of their major sponsors. So please be aware that one closes tomorrow night at 10 o'clock, definitely. And I think the Horsham one closes Friday, but not 100% sure on that at all. Bendigo have also got their annual one. Just give Daniel a little bit of a makeover for a second. It doesn't close till the 23rd, which is the Wednesday afterwards. So this is to Vincent, so make sure you go to the Bendigo Harness Racing Club page and check that one out. So there's a free, it's not as free, but service to Vincent. Must say this Terang one, Daniel, very quickly, it says down the bottom, bids must be at least 60%, so that's a bit lower than what a few of the others are going forward. And then also at Bendigo, you got the chance of buying $2,000 worth of stay in service vouchers, basically, so you can get it cheaper than what it is through the Bendigo Harness Racing Club as well. So that's a pretty huge one to make sure you get involved with and go from there. So that is with the Aldebaran Park. Another great sponsors. They sponsor the Mari Mile, the Aldebaran Trotters Cup. They are quite a few races, plus the Dynasty Night, the Lang Dynasty Night as well, which is also run through there. And I've reached out to the VSTA, so Classic Connection for the Harasta Trotters. They've got their raffle tickets. Contact the VSTA. They are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and I'm sure contact the Maryborough Harness Racing Club. They'll look after you. It's going to be drawn on Redwood Day. $50 a ticket, and you go into the draw to win a service fee to Classic Connection. He wins one race as a 2-year-old, $3,000 in the skyrocket. So he's actually a really, really good one as well. So that's the stallion tenders coming up that are all open. Swan Hill, and you can just go to, with the Terang one, to go to terangharnesshrc.com.au. That's their website. Swan Hills, I'll be doing some more stuff. We had, big mental blank, Jared Maloney. I just lost his name for a minute, Jared Maloney. At Swan Hill, go to swanhilltrots.com.au. Their stallion tender does not open until the 20th. Okay, so it'll be going through, but doesn't open until the 20th, which I've got to get a bit of some stuff done there for promotions for them. And do not forget, all the trotting people that are watching this show, 30th of September, the inaugural, it's not the inaugural, but the Trotters Cup, $20,000 Trotters Cup on the 30th of September, plus the Northern Region Championships, which is a terrific race series, and they've got 3 cracking heats, Daniel. I'm actually going to try and, I've got a new little toy that I've been able to get going, and I'm going to try and see if I can't bring up these Oyen heats for you, just to show you what I can do sometimes if it works. Yeah, it is going to work. I try to. This wasn't why I was out of sync earlier on, but there we are, right there. I just had to try and find the right field. So they've got 3 heats of the Northern Region Championships, the High Gain Victory Northern Region Championship Heat 1. Okay, so you've got 3 different races. So it's sponsored by High Gain. Got some good fields. Steve Blacker and Aaron Dunn have taken a good team of horses there. So good to see heat series, and they've got 3 heats, which is what it always was. They'll drop off a couple. They'll go to 2 heats at Mildura, 1 heat at Swan Hill. So really, really excited about seeing that, and it's going to be a terrific race series. I saw Alex Ashwood's name come up a lot in the trainers part there. He's got 5 runners in. He's got 3 in one race, so it sort of looked like he had a lot in, but he's got a team of 5. But some good fields, some small fields as well, which they're getting at the minute, but still some good fields there at Oyen.
Yeah, it is a good card. That series has always traditionally been a really nice series, particularly for the local brigade. But you do often get a lot of the ones from down south. You know, some of those nicely ranked rated horses that go up there to try and get a good win under the belt. And I think this is a clear example of it. The 3 really good heats. The first heat, Aaron Dunn's horse, Colobos, is probably the one that's going to be the hardest to beat in that field. Duke of Dundee's one for Julie Douglas. I don't know too much about that. I'm just going to have a quick gander here. It's had the 1 start here at Shepparton back in June and has come across from New Zealand. So it's got the good draw in barrier 1. So you'd reckon it's going to try and make the most of that particular barrier draw. But it's not. That's the smallest heat field of 9. got 10 in the second heat. Tay Tay's probably the one that stood out to me straight off the bat, drawn barrier 2, been trialling pretty nicely, and around Owen, the lead is king, so you'd expect it to be up there on the pace. Certainly Kenya for another one of Aaron Dunn's, which is first up from a break, would be another one, and Vanquish Stride for Shane Sanderson and James Herbertson. Nice heat, that one. It's you just want to sort of, you want to win, but you just want to make sure you get through to that next round. So that's probably the key out of this first round of heats. The third heat is probably, on face value, is probably one of the more open of the heats. Aussie Playgirl's drawn the pole for Julie. Douglas Allen Tormey taking the drive. Crime Boss has been going well for Boris Devchick up there locally. And then you've got Clarendon Envoy for Joey Thompson and Abby Sanderson, who's won its last 2. And Cuddy Sark for Shane Sanderson and James Herbertson again, who I remember calling its first start at Kilmore back in July. And it looked really good on that occasion, and it sort of franked that by winning a couple of races. So, look, it's probably the most open of the 3 heats. But again, it's a good series. It's basically a knockout series. You've got to perform to get through to the next round, and then hopefully make that big final at Swan Hill.
Absolutely. Justin Lane's tuned in too from Horsham. I encourage anyone that's on this feed, if they want to ask us any questions or do any promotions, by all means do. But Justin Lane's another name for anyone wanting to get involved with the Horsham Stay Tender to get in touch with Laney, and he'll only be too happy to. He was the former president. He's no longer the president. His work commitment's taken over a little bit there, so he's a bit busy. But yeah, he'll steer you in the right direction as well. So anyone that wants to get involved with the free it's not free. You've got to purchase it. The service to Speeding Spur sponsors will kick my butt, that's for sure. Nigel Armstrong, I don't know if Nigel's left us or not, but he actually threw one little comment in here. We'll get onto the Shepparton Fields and Ballarat Fields very, very shortly, Daniel. We'll go to Shepparton so you can get your computer organised. But one of the Witches Syndicate horses, now I am one of these Witches, that's for sure, qualified today, a 2-year-old filly by Betters. Couldn't pace to save itself less than 2 months ago. Now paces like a train. Love Woodlands. He's a good man. He nearly knows how to work it, doesn't he? There's no hassles there. I got him into a NZB hat one day to do an interview with Ricky Mate. And I must say, James Jennings was very, very happy. James is a COO of NZB, so he was very happy. He knows how to say the right things, that's for sure. And go there. They've been putting quite a bit up on that filly in the syndicate. I think it's called the Eel. Rightio, Shepparton. Huge. It is a huge meeting for a Friday night. I reckon this is as good a Friday night meeting as we've had when we've got a ripping Saturday night meeting. I don't know if you feel the same way, but some really good races in this. Kicked off. It's probably not one of the main races, but I've got to look after my sponsors. The Barrostock Pace is at 5:55, race number 1, mate. I thought I'd start on that one.
It is a good cut. There's 3 ripping trot races. This is aside from the George Gath, which is run on Shepparton Pace and Cup Night, these are probably the 3 feature trot races. You've got the Abraham's 2-year-old Trotters Classic. You've got the
just quickly. We'll just quickly. Well, I've got that one up. We're actually, the race before is a ripping race as well. The 6:30 race, just a tad long. Maybe paid Trotters handicapper, 52 or better. So it's a standing start. There'll be a lot of eyes on it after what we've been saying here tonight. But what's your favourite? 420. I mean, 350. Sweet on you for Patrick Ryan.
Yeah, sweet on you's been absolutely flying this time in. It was super at Cobram and then brilliant at its last run. Got to come off 30 over the shorter trip. Certainly, there's a couple off the front that are going to go well. Certainly, Christmas Babes.
It's off the 10.
She's got to come off the 10 metre. Yeah. Don't Touch the Duco is probably a nice type off the front for Chris Lang. It's a really nice ride. Emerald Stride's probably dropping back in class on what it's been racing. It's a good race because they're spread over the handicap, so it'll make it a little bit more interesting. Plus the fact that it's over the shorter trip. On form alone, I'd say Sweet on You would win it, but you've got to give them 30.
Yep.
So that's the big concern. But it's a really nice, nice standing start trot, and I'm sure that the starter will get them away fairly.
The Abraham's 2-year-old trot, rip and race, isn't it? Like there's 6 horses, and people say, how can you say that's a rip and race? But there's BB Baroque, Edstream, Plymouth Chubb, Mangana Joe, and even number 1. Ivar. Is that how we're going to say it? For
Yeah, I think so.
Anthony Crosland. It was very, very nice in that first win. So it is. First start. Didn't win it on that occasion. Was beaten 16 metres from memory to BB Baroque, I reckon. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. It was BB.
It was that bit. I did see this race. I'd come downstairs after calling the dogs, and I did actually watch this race sort of through the fence. So it was a good run. Beaten 16, behind BB Baroque.
Yeah.
But it was a nice debut. But this race traditionally has always been a really nice 2-year-old race. It probably doesn't get the plaudits that it deserves. I mean, it hasn't been around all that long, but it's always thrown up a nice trotter. I mean, Plymouth Chubb, 6 starts, 5 wins, and the win. I mean, the win in the homegrown was just was phenomenal, and I think we sort of it's happened 4 months ago now, but look, he's possesses a fair bit of ability, and certainly if he's improved from a bit of a let up, it's going to be really hard to beat, and certainly looks hard to beat in most of the good races coming forward. But BB Rock was an improved run to win last time, and Ed Stream was a nice win first up as well. It's a tricky race there for Plymouth Chubb. I think you win, but it's always throws up a nice winner.
The greatest push there is Peter Manning doesn't go to Shepparton very often. Karen goes less.
Very long way. Very long way. And it's not. I don't think it's the easiest drive either. No. I mean, I drove. I mean, and I've got to do it. I've got to do it next week. I've got to go to Warrnambool and call the dogs next week. And I sort of go across. You go cross country through that way, and it's not the easiest drive. So I understand why people won't venture across this neck of the woods from that far across all the time, because it is a hard trip. It's a hard drive.
The Tab Long May we play Paces a rip and race. Couple of bide our time. One big show. There's horses going through their classes. They went probably a little bit crazy last week. Gave our horse every chance to run home. That was for sure. But it'll be probably another tactical race, that one there going forward.
One big shoe's the one there. He's really been looking good at the trials. I think he's a fair chance of winning that. Bide our time for Dave Moran is going well as well. But I like one big shoe in that one.
The Saddle World Shepparton Trotters Oaks, race number 5, and well done to Saddle World Shep, Stewie Abrahams and the crew. They got the Abrahams Trot. They always sponsor the trot race at Shepparton, at least one of them. They are really, really good sponsors there. Queen Alida is short enough, and rightfully so, I think, on the way it returned. But you've got Mickey Blackmore's been watching the feed. Sunita's Strength, unfortunately for the barrier draw, but she's a lovely, lovely filly. It's a really nice race, this race, isn't it?
It's a top race, and the form out of it will be really strong going forward. I do actually like Sunita's Strength. I've always had an opinion of the horse. As I say, the barrier draw is probably made it a little bit more interesting for it. But James Herbertson gets on really well with the horse. Queen Elite is obviously the big player in the race. Off the front row, there's not really too much. Eurofayes has been about as consistent as a horse as you could see. You'd love to own it, because every time you go to the race, you're pretty confident you're going to come home with a check. But just doesn't quite manage to win win. Doesn't win out of turn essentially. But it's a nice race. I think the form will be pretty good. It just might be one of those races you'll sort of look back on in about 6 weeks, and say, "Oh, gee, it was a hot race," and it's a tricky race to assess, and I reckon we might get a lot of benefit out down the track.
Oh, absolutely. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's a great race, $12,000 for the 3-year-old fillies. Lochinvar aren't sponsoring a race. Where else would he want to sponsor a race but at Shepparton? Good little field there with some interesting runners. Who we got? Junior Brown, Kirsten Graham's favourite horse, I reckon. She won't admit to it, but I think it's one of her favourite horses, that's for sure. And then race 7, the Saddle World Shepparton Trotters Cup, a Group 3 event. Possibly, group racing can be a bit of a sore point when you talk to people. Possibly should be a little bit more this race, I think, than a Group 3.
It should be. Yeah, it probably, I think the dollars for this, I can't quite remember what the the George Gathies, but this one you'd think probably should be a little bit more, a few more dollars in the prize money for this. It's a cracking race, particularly when you've got your two top ranked horses, Galars and Majestuoso, drawn as they have from the Mobile. The front line, look, they're very even. I don't think there's anything there off the front that would threaten looking to win the race. Probably the one for me that's been racing really consistently, maybe not so its last run, but Aldebaran Crescent. You know what you're going to get from her. She does get out of the gate quick, so you'd expect her to be sort of pressing forward and trying to find a good position. Brownlow Prince is probably the only other realistic chance off that front line that I could see winning it, but certainly Pink Galars and Majestuoso are probably certainly the best two horses in the race. It is only over the 2200, which makes it a little bit trickier with the big field. And I think tactics will certainly play a part on, where who takes off first, I guess, and who can get the best position. But for me, they're the two clear picks. And I don't know whether I could really split them. To be fair, I'm not quite sure which direction I'd go, but I think they're probably the two that should run the Quinella.
Yeah, definitely, and I just think, it's one of those races that deserves probably a little bit higher status. I think anyway, but we'll wait. Probably have to wait.
It's surprised that it is over the 2100 too. I would have thought that they might have put it over the 26, but that's an argument for another day.
It is indeed, and it's a good argument I think too, because it would make it a little bit tactical. I've been doing something. If you're not sure what I'm doing, I've been just doing something. So I just like to try different things as we go, Daniel. But it's okay. Now we're back, so people can see that we're actually still there. So that we don't look like we have disappeared, and we want people to get involved because that's one of the ideas that we have. The Alabar Pace Hunter Rural 3-year-old. And the last race at 10:30, another good race, good little betting races. There's no real standout favourites on the night. There's no over short ones other than Keren's horse. I forget his name. Dublin Chubb. He's about the only real shorty there for the night.
Yeah, the sort of the restricted grade racing at Shep tends to be pretty competitive, and you might get a shorty, but there's also the likelihood that they're going to get rolled as well. So, and you can virtually win from anywhere as well. So, it is a good night of racing there at Shep on Friday night, and of course disappointed that we can't have crowds there, but we're out of lockdown, so at least people might be able to go to the pub and watch a few races as well.
We can allude to the fact that you and I, the dynamic duo, were going to be there, but one of us decides, he's going to the Dogs.
Yeah, I'm off to the Dogs to call. So, although I do finish about 6:30, but I wouldn't get back. To Shep in good enough time, unfortunately.
Yep, very good. It is very, very true that Harness Racing Breeders Victoria. Sundance Courage has 8 foals on the ground from 220 and still standing. And I think, he's served another strong book this year as well. So probably he's just lost a bit of his mojo. He might be serving more mares than he's got his mojo because, if you listen to the Fairest Sex, they might say we only think about one thing, and it might be just taking a little bit of a toll on him at the minute. Was that politically correct, what I just said?
I'm not touching it with a 40-foot barge pole.
Ballarat, Saturday night, mate, on the 18th of it's going to be a ripping race. It's still going to be at Ballarat too, which is great for the club. Good luck to them. Brian Coglin's watching. Well, hello, Coggo. Good to see you've tuned in and watching the show. So I used to do a little bit with Coggo back in the day. And a big shout out to his grandson who's fighting cancer, having a battle. He was on Sunrise this morning. So any of the locals that are watching, they'll get behind it, that's for sure, and go from there. But please, anyone who wants to ask a question, fire them through. Good race meeting. Probably not quite as good as Bendigo's meeting, but I think that's just the luck of the draw that with the Group 1 status last week, but still a very, very good meeting. Isn't the depth of trotters? There's 4 trot races, 3 very good trot races at Shepparton, and then you turn around, you've got this race here straight away. Race number 2, the Pride's Easy Feed Trot. It's a ripping race. There's 1, 2, There's at least 3 Group 1 winners in that race, 4 Group 1 winners in that race already that I can say for sure. Powder Keg, Stress Factor, I'm a Pegasus, and Kai Valley Finn are all definitely Group 1 winners. So yeah, really, really good field and good fields there. I didn't see these races, the APG Gold Sovereign races, but it's an interesting race for the 2-year-olds.
Yeah, so I think the heats were at Melton last week, so obviously not big nominations, obviously, for this series, but still $40,000 up for grabs. And pretty hard to sort of tip against Emma's horse. Muscle Bart was good. Catch a Wave was a nice winner for Andy on debut as well. And they're probably the 2 heat winners are probably the major ones there. I've got a bit of a soft spot for Marlon number 2 for Sean Kittle and Mick Bellman. I think it goes all right. I've seen it trial quite a few times here at Shep, so it's a nice type. Might be a little bit out of its depth, but could certainly run into the minor money. And when you're running for 40,000, minor money is still pretty good money. So, but it's a nice APG race here at Ballarat.
She's a nice filly. She just lacks that bit of speed to get herself out of trouble. She always seems to be in that awkward spot, doesn't she? I think maybe next year and onwards from there. And I was going to. Greg wasn't aware. I actually was going to sneak out there and have a little look at their farm today, but I will be in the near future. Campbell's Comments will be doing an on-farm visit with those. I had to change the hats. Did you see that? Because we got the Nutrient Argent 3-year-old Classic. This is a crowd puller. This is a ripping race that we need no covert for, because these 2 fillies are standouts. They pull the crowds, and it's just great to see them both back at the racetrack, and may the best horse win.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those rivalries that we've had. Over the journey, there's been some rippers between some particularly the boys, I guess, the open class horses in the top of top of the ranks. But to have 2 fillies, 2-year-old fillies, and now 3-year-old fillies, basically headline acts of the code, when you think about it, just the attraction that these 2 horses pull, it's quite remarkable. And it is disappointing that no one's going to be there on track other than those people that are allowed to. It's going to be a interesting race again. Ladies in Red drawn the outside the front, Tough Tilly drawn the inside second row. The way the marbles have fallen, probably Ladies in Red probably gets the advantage with Dave, and having that first up runs probably a bit more match fit. You'd expect him to go forward and sort of make advantage of that front line draw, and try and get to the lead and make it hard for Tough Tilly. But look, they are just 2 quality fillies, and there's not much separating either of them. Probably Ladies in Red won the bulk of the good races, and Ladies in Red Tough Tilly got the big prize there at the end in the size. But look, I reckon Ladies in Red just in this one, but another race that's just a kick-off point for these 2, because they've certainly got bigger fish to fry later in the season.
The Tab Gammalite Free for All, nice field, good consistent lot of horses. Cruise returns for Luke Tabone, and also the return of Mac Dan, but probably none of those will be held in the same regard as Gammalite. But not too many horses are to say the least. $20,000, the old-fashioned MO. I wonder if Brantley can win again. He was 100-1 again the other day, but he ran like it. But he is one of those horses. One
Springing his step has been super in its 2 runs of late. It probably just went a little bit off the ball there prior to that, but really impressed with his last 2 runs, particularly the run at Bendigo was super. Gets a front line draw, and I think that probably the 3 inside of him are not going to be real keen to keep him out, so I'll be expecting him to lead, and he's going to be really hard to beat in that race.
Yep. The next race is another $20,000, 79 to 89. This is well, they can have a bit more form, because a lot of those MOs, that previous race, you can't have won a race at value of more than $15,000 to be eligible for it. This race here, these horses are just in there on their class, and the likes. Major Man Bar, 17.10. back to barrier 2. Does he do it again? Does he roll to the front and just keep trucking? Or it's a good field though, isn't it, this one?
It's a really nice field. There's a couple of really good ones in this. Jimmy the Irishman, I did see that it had run a really good trial recently as well. Steel Springs was in good form before sort of going out for a spell. Yarny been racing super for Emma Stewart and Dave Moran. It's probably one of those races that could catch a few people out. You might take a few in the quaddie and something will blow you out, and you think, well, how the hell did I not take it? It's an interesting race. It'll be a really good one. That's one of the races to watch there on Saturday night. Really interesting affair.
The Allied Express Tailor-Made Lombo, absolute superstar of a mare on the racetrack, and defies everything that people turn around and say, mate, because she actually was a great broodmare as well. She is a superstar of our industry. I saw Adam Hamilton say today on social media that still the best that he's seen. I think she'll be hard to replace just for everything that she's done, not just on the racetrack. She was brilliant. I remember being a kid watching her in the Miracle Mile take on the boys, and she was sensational. So real superstar of the mares. Ranks. This is probably the your next rung down. It's a Group 3 race of the top class mares, but it's a good field.
Yeah, I've got one here. This is the one we mentioned in the trial, our little trial segment. If it wasn't last week, wasn't last week.
You weren't on last week.
The week before. But the gentleman that you had on last week is the one that trains the horse, and this is Galanta. I thought it was a really nice trial there at Ballarat a couple of weeks ago. Gets the inside of the second row draw. Should be able to posse up nice and handy. We'll obviously need a little bit of luck just to get out from that draw. Obviously no sprint lane at Ballarat, but it's probably one of my tips for the weekend. I reckon it'll run a real big race.
Harness Breeders Victoria, beautiful mares in this race, great breeding prospects. 4 by Bettor's Delight, 2 by Art Major, and 2 by Rock and Roll Hanover. I've apologised to the other 2 because I don't know, because Desiree sent that one through to me and I'm not sure who they would be. The other ones, I think Final Piece, I'm not sure who Final Piece is by. Troy Harley's watching, the great man from GRV. He's actually tuned in. We've got them all. I've had Coggo, I've had the whole lot. Clint Anderson's been in. Final
Pieces by Village Joel.
Yeah, and Sports Rider is the other one, and that will be... No, I'm out. I've got no idea. I'm going to be guessing there. So we could play
One of me is by Sports Rider.
We could play this game one night. You know that, don't you? But you're not allowed to cheat, so it'll make it... But even sports riders are doing a great job in the mares ranks as well. So, it's a good bunch of horses, really, really good field. Claimer and then the Catnack Jewelers, the last race. We have Belittled, who went terrific the other night, but proved yet again that he just needs solid tempo, and thankfully the boys decided they'd have a little bit of a brain fade, but unfortunately the gaps wouldn't open quick enough and he got home good. He's knocking on the door, but everything's got to go his way there for the brother in that one. So interesting to see that Kezi's kept the drive on So What. I noticed Lance was back down to drive another horse, so I'm presuming that he's back right to drive and he's left Kez on, which is really, really good as well.
I think the horse is going pretty well for Kez, so why ruin a good thing?
Absolutely, I don't disagree with that one bit, mate. So that's a bit of a run through of the weekend's fields. Different way of doing it. Don't know whether people like it or not, but I think it's actually okay. People can see what we're talking about, and definitely a little bit better when they could actually still see us there. That is for sure. Mate, we've had a pretty long show. I'll get into all sorts of trouble. Rightio. Harass the Trotters and walking the tracks. This is for the month of September. This is for Beyond Blue, Yabby Dam Farms. Make sure you go on there and register. Not a competition, nothing like that. It's just to raise awareness for Beyond Blue and also raise some much needed money. So go to the Yabby Dam Farms Facebook page and you can contribute to that. And the whole idea of it is they just want people to walk the track. Get out there for your own mental. I think these guys are in Ballarat. Louise Toolman's not actually in lockdown because she's in a different shire, but Harass the Trotters definitely are, because I was going there tomorrow and I was told, nope. Have the day off, Paulie. You can put the feet up and kick back, which if I tell Marie that, she'll laugh at it, but that's okay. But yeah, please get involved in it. Just a little bit of fun. That is for sure. And then you mentioned his name just there before, and he's won another race tonight. Mick Stanley, I tell you what, he was terrific last week. Your job's in danger, you know that, don't you? I think he actually enjoyed it too. So
That's good. That is good.
He's a little bit busy. We'll get some more guests on when I have a little bit more time to get the shows together, and can go from there. But both Mick and Johnny Keldo had a winner today at Melton too. The old-fashioned stack 'em, pack 'em, rack 'em. Jay Keldo at his best. I think Dan Malecki couldn't believe how slow the lead time was. I think it was 39 or 49. I think it was, he said, I think that's as slow as I can remember. So
49.2.
Yep.
49.2 it was.
Jay Keldo special. He just stacked them, just let them sit there. So, yeah, so $500. HRV donate $500 every time John and Mick get a winner. Mick has also got Robbie Watson on board, so he donates $500 every time he owns a horse that Mick wins with, which is absolutely terrific. And from that, he's actually got myself going into the run. So go to the Prostate Cancer Awareness page. I did have it. I don't think I've got it on there. It'll actually, I might put that screen back up and it might be there. Prostate Cancer Foundation of Australia. No, I know what you do. I know exactly where it is. It's hashtag the long run, or just Google the long run and it will come up. Follow the links. If you want to support me, I've got to run the 72Ks, which I did cramp just before and it was legit. I am feeling. The problem I have, Daniel, is there's some days like Hillsville on Sunday. I was gone from here at 4:30 in the morning, and we did harness breed to succeed Sunday night, and Nick Hooper, and I'll come on to that in a sec. It finished at 9 o'clock, I think it was. It was over a 2-hour show, so you don't get time to run then. So then the next day I've got to make up. So I've got my benchmark. But talking to Cody Winnell, got some stuff. I'm working Shepparton obviously and a few other things. Cody signed up yesterday. Well done to him. Talking to Michael Howard after that as well. So he signed up. Nikita Ross signed up as well. So I think next year we will well and truly get behind it and have a fun run. It's good for your mental health. It's good for everyone else to get involved. Desiree has actually put it onto the feed. So anyone that wants to get involved with that and donate, you don't have to donate to me. You can donate to Cody or any of these other guys, but please, it's all going to a good cause. I'd like to hit me $500 mark. I've got to give a great thank you to Sooty, Greg Gangle, and also Mark Hughes, who basically contributed, I think, $380 last night between the three of them. So I must say huge thank you to the three of those guys for getting behind this great cause. It's and the rest, and pushing me to do it. I have tightened the girth up. The pants already feel a little bit better, so I'm very, very happy with that. Donna Castles, I won't go off the prostate cancer and a few other things, but Donna has joined in there into the feed, and next year she's going to tell me if I've got the wrong date by the feed if I do, but May the 8th is going to be the big Shepparton meeting, so early in the year for Pacing for Pink, so it'll be May the 8th. I'm pretty sure, talking to Kath Harris, that West Australia will be involved, so they'll try and run simultaneously as well, so it'll be another Sunday meeting at Shepparton. Anyone out there that wants to get involved, make sure you do. If you want to be a sponsor, you want to sponsor a driver, start thinking about it now, because it'll come around very, very quickly. But it's for a great cause to raise awareness for breast cancer, which is what harness racing do so well. So yeah, follow that link for the prostate cancer, but we'll get more with the Pacing for Pink. I might have to get Donna on one night as well. We've got to start. I've got to just, don't tell Marie, but I've got to spend a little bit of money, and then I'll be away. One of which is a new computer, but that's just another thing. Another thing. Right. As well as with Mick Stanley, we're raising awareness for prostate cancer. Don't forget the GoFundMe page for Tony Zera and also Taylor Shembry, and you just go to the GoFundMe pages there, and you can follow those. If you can't afford to give money, you don't want to give money, and all the rest, reach out to both those guys. They're terrific harness racing people, and if you see them, reach out. Well, you won't see them because they won't be at the races, but reach out and just say hello to them, because they're both doing it very, very hard at the minute. Tony Zera's had a few complications, I believe, and Taylor's struggling very much as well. So that's a bit of a wrap for all the fundraising, but please get behind the long run. I keep posting them on Twitter, my feeds. So yeah, I think I've done 13k already. So yeah, but I am well and truly feeling it. But it'll be right. We'll push through. I think one of the things with prostate cancer, you don't get to have a day off. So that's it. Yeah. What do you do for the rest of the week, Mr. Melbourneite? Hey, you'd be hoping that Sunday would be around a bit quicker, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it's it's funny with this extra week. The grand final would normally be this week, and actually probably works out well for me because I will be home to watch it, but it sort of drags it out a little bit longer, and I guess it's good. It's a good situation to be in because we're actually in the grand final. It's probably better than the every other year that we've never been in it. So look, it's I'm really looking forward. It's just really disappointed I can't obviously go. It would have been a great experience to get a ticket and go, but we'll sit at home and cheer them on and hopefully get the win.
It's quite interesting. I'll going to do something. I've got a bit of a plan next week. I'll do a few things. You will be involved, as will Mark Hughes. Did not know Mark Hughes is a very one-eyed supporter, and you mentioned something about tears. Hughesy was a little bit similar. He got a little bit emotional about it, and I alluded to the fact today that you can get it. You can get your picture.
I've got. This has sort of been sitting around with candles burning around the outside of it. So just saying a few prayers and enjoying having Max. Very much a part of the family at the moment.
He is indeed. He's a unique character, Maxie Gord too. But he did play a hell of a game. But I was at Lower Long Farms, and Kath McIntosh. She alluded to me that herself, I won't say, one of the daughters, Melbourne, Luke, and the other daughter, Footscray. Game on, mate. Game on. So it would never happen. They're so much looking forward to it as well. So, and I think there's going to be a lot more stories like that. Pam Hockham, lovely harness racing person forever and a day. She's a very devout Melbourne person. Paul Dobson from Kelly Partners. Get their hat out. He's as one-eyed as I've ever seen for the doggies. So there is going to be a little bit going on. So I said there before too, mate, we were going to call it a day. I've actually got two things I've got to say. One was the Harness Breeders Breed to Succeed seminar. I must thank everyone that contributed to it through the to the feed. Also got to thank Harness Breeders Victoria for allowing me to put the platform up. But it was a great success. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but the people that really wanted to watch it, really enjoyed Sunday night. It was a lot of fun. We had 2 prizes going off to Pastor Stephen, who I saw today, who's got rock star looks. There's no worries there as well. And I also saw American Ideal, both actually at Lower Long Farms, but one's Woodlands and one's Lower Long Farms donated. But congratulations to both winners. I believe the person who won the winner, Peter Watkins, who won the service fee to American Ideal, he actually won the service fee to the Storm Inside the year before and just had a foal. So I'm actually going to catch up with him. But it just had a foal, so the mare's almost ready to start serve, and then I believe he was dumbstruck, to say the least, when he got the phone call. He was like, no way. So well done to those guys, and it was a very great show and a lot of fun. So so tune in to Campbell's comments because we'll be doing plenty of those more things. And Greg Gangle, mate, he's a Canadian that's taken over at Wagga. I don't know if you saw the horse the other day, went 150. He was a bit like a Cheshire cat. He's like, hey, they can go 150 around my new track. But he's putting out some videos of some of the guys, and I think it was Liam Armstrong. Does that sound right? I think from up in the Riverina area anyway, but he's putting these videos out. Go to YouTube and type in Greg Gangle and hit subscribe if you're on his page. If you go to YouTube, go to Campbell's Comments and hit YouTube subscribe as well, please. I need to get as many supporters as sponsors as people following me. I don't need sponsors. I need people to actually follow that page, because the bigger we can grow it, the bigger the voice we can have in the world for harness racing. So not just here. But Greg's done a great job. It's a ripping article, and he's got quite a few more. He was going to come on the show, but he just had a bit on today. But he definitely could be on next week and go from there. So got plenty on the go, mate. So you've got Bendigo Friday night, Ballarat Sunday morning. I've got Shepparton. It seems a bit silly, doesn't it? But I got Shep on Friday night, mate. So we just cross over. And then the following, I've got to go to Warrnambool Thursday night, back up to Bendigo Friday night. So we'll get to see a fair bit of the countryside over the next couple of weeks. But really looking forward to
continuing to call. And yeah, it would have been good to be there at Shep, but not to be. But it's going to be a good night there on Friday night.
Absolutely, it's going to be a great night. Thank you to everyone that's contributed to the show. Nigel Armstrong, definitely from New Zealand. Stacey Lee and Stacey Towers and Mark Lee, or Stacey Lee, and I noticed Kerry Lee was in there as well. Everyone that else is tuned in. Don't forget those stay-in tenders, especially Terang, which definitely closes tomorrow, and Horsham. Mark Hughes gave me that interview there before. Bendigo closes next week. Swanhill will start the week after, so we won't have as many stay-in tenders. But I think what this platform's there to do to promote what clubs have got going on. Tune in to Oyun on Sunday as well for the guys. Good luck to them. Daniel Hibberd, thanks for joining me, mate.
All right, Paul. We'll see you next week.
A little bit of fun, and thank you very much.